How a forbidden crime created an eternal city. Rome did not begin as an empire. It began as a crime. According to Roman tradition, the story starts in a time of fear and betrayal, when power was seized through blood. In the ancient Latin city of Alba Longa, King Numitor was overthrown by his younger brother Amulius. Terrified of revenge, Amulius eliminated every possible heir. Numitor's sons were killed. His daughter, Rhea Silvia, was forced to become a Vestal virgin sworn never to have children. But Rome's story insists that destiny cannot be controlled. Rhea Silvia became pregnant. She claimed the father was Mars, the god of war. Amulius did not care whether the story was divine or human. He ordered the newborn twins to be thrown into the Tiber River and left to die. The river flooded. Instead of drowning, the basket carrying the infants drifted safely to shore. There, in a wild and dangerous landscape, the twins were discovered by a she-wolf, who nursed them in a cave later known as the Lupercal. A shepherd eventually found the boys and raised them as his own. Their names were Romulus and Remus. As young men, they learned the truth of their birth. They returned to Alba Longa, killed Amulius, and restored their grandfather Numitor to the throne. But they did not stay. They wanted something new, a city of their own. Ambition soon turned into rivalry. The brothers argued over where the city should stand and who should rule it. The dispute ended in murder. Romulus killed Remus, crossing a line that would define Roman history forever. Rome would be built on violence, and survival would always come before mercy. In 753 BC, Romulus founded Rome. Early Rome was not glorious. It was a refuge for criminals, escaped slaves, and outcasts. To survive, Romulus welcomed anyone, but there was a problem. Rome had almost no women. The solution shocked the ancient world. During a religious festival, Romans abducted women from neighboring tribes, especially the Sabines. War followed, but something unexpected happened. The kidnapped women stepped between the fighting armies, begging their fathers and husbands to stop. Peace was made. Rome did not grow by purity, but by absorbing its enemies. Romulus ruled as Rome's first king. He created the Senate, a council of elders, planting the foundations of Roman politics. When he mysteriously vanished during a storm, Romans claimed he became a god. But Rome's kings would not all be noble, and the final king's tyranny would ignite a revolution that changed history forever.
Why Romans swore never to have kings again? Rome's kings did not fall quietly. The final ruler, Tarquinius Superbestarque, the proud, governed through fear, violence, and arrogance. He ignored the Senate, ruled without consent, and treated Rome as personal property. But it was not his tyranny alone that ended the monarchy. It was a single crime that shocked Roman society to its core. Tarquin's son assaulted a noble woman named Lucretia, famous for her virtue. Unable to live with the dishonor, Lucretia took her own life, but not before demanding justice. Her death ignited outrage across Rome. What began as grief turned into rebellion. In 509 BC, the Romans expelled the royal family forever. From that moment, one idea dominated Roman political life: never again. Never again would one man hold absolute power. Kingship itself became a hated word. The Romans created something radical for the ancient world: the Roman Republic. Power was divided. Each year, citizens elected two consuls, not one. Each could block the other's decisions, ensuring no single ruler could become king in disguise. In emergencies, Rome appointed a dictator, but only for 6 months. Even absolute power had an expiration date. At the center of the system stood the Senate, composed mainly of wealthy aristocrats known as patricians. They controlled policy, finances, and foreign affairs. But most Romans were not patricians. They were plebeians, farmers, workers, soldiers, and they had little political voice. This imbalance created tension that nearly destroyed the Republic. The plebeians fought back using a powerful weapon: unity. They organized mass protests and refused military service, leaving Rome defenseless. Faced with collapse, the elite were forced to compromise. The office of tribune of the people was created officials who could veto laws and protect common citizens. Even more revolutionary was the creation of Rome's first written law code, the 12 Tables. For the first time, the law applied publicly, not secretly. While Rome struggled internally, it expanded relentlessly. It conquered rival Latin cities, defeated the Etruscans, and gradually dominated the Italian peninsula. Roman armies were disciplined, adaptable, and brutally effective. But Rome's growing power brought new dangers. Victories brought wealth, slaves, and ambition. Generals returned from war as heroes, followed by loyal soldiers. The Republic was built to rule a city, not an empire, and the system was beginning to crack. Soon, Rome would face enemies not just across borders but within itself.
How Rome's greatest strength became its deadliest weakness. By the 2nd century BC, Rome controlled much of the Mediterranean world. It had defeated powerful enemies, crushed rival states, and grown unimaginably rich. Yet beneath the victories, the Republic was rotting from the inside. The problem was not foreign invasion. It was success. Roman wars created massive estates worked by slaves. Small farmers, once the backbone of the Republic, lost their land and flooded into Rome. Unemployed and angry, political violence became normal. Reformers were murdered in the streets. One man changed Rome forever: Gaius Marius. Marius reformed the Roman army, allowing landless citizens to enlist. Soldiers now depended on their general for pay and retirement land, not the Senate. For the first time, armies became personally loyal to individuals. This single decision would destroy the Republic. Marius' rival, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, took the next terrifying step. In 88 BC, he marched his army on Rome itself. Roman legions killed Roman citizens. Sulla seized power and declared himself dictator, publishing lists of enemies who could be legally murdered. Property was confiscated. Fear ruled the city. Though Sulla eventually resigned, the damage was irreversible. The Republic had learned a deadly lesson: whoever controlled the army controlled Rome. Into this chaos emerged three powerful men: Pompey, Crassus, and Julius Caesar. They formed an unofficial alliance called the First Triumvirate, using wealth, popularity, and military command to dominate politics. Caesar proved the most dangerous. As governor of Gaul, Caesar conquered vast territories, becoming incredibly popular with his soldiers and the public. The Senate feared him. When ordered to surrender his command, Caesar faced a choice that would define history. In 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army. This act was treason. There was no turning back. Civil war erupted. Caesar defeated Pompey and took control of Rome. He ruled as dictator, introducing reforms: land redistribution, debt relief, and a new calendar. Many saw him as a savior. Others saw a king in all but name. On March 15, 44 BC, senators assassinated Caesar, believing they had saved the Republic. They were wrong. Caesar's death unleashed even greater chaos. Rome did not return to freedom, it fell into darkness. Power was now openly seized through violence. The Republic was finished. All that remained was to decide who would rule the ruins.
How Rome lost its freedom and gained an empire. After the assassination of Julius Caesar, Rome collapsed into fear and confusion. The men who killed him believed they had saved the Republic. Instead, they had destroyed its last chance of survival. Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, was only 18 years old. Few in Rome took him seriously. That was a mistake. Octavian moved carefully. He allied himself with Mark Antony, Caesar's most powerful general, and Lepidus, forming the Second Triumvirate. Unlike the first, this alliance was legal and merciless. The triumvirs published lists of enemies to be executed. Thousands were killed, including the great orator Cicero, whose head was displayed in the Roman Forum. Rome was now ruled by fear, not law. Soon, the alliance fractured. Lepidus was removed. Antony fell under the influence of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. To many Romans, Antony appeared to be abandoning Rome for the East. Octavian used this perception as propaganda, presenting himself as the defender of Roman values. The final war came in 31 BC at the Battle of Actium. Octavian's fleet defeated Antony and Cleopatra. They fled to Egypt and soon took their own lives. Octavian stood alone. In 27 BC, he performed a brilliant political deception. He announced he was returning power to the Senate and the people. Grateful and afraid, the Senate granted him the title Augustus, meaning the revered one. Rome now had an emperor, though no crown was worn, and the Republic's institutions still existed on paper. Augustus controlled the army, the treasury, and the law. Under his rule, Rome entered the Pax Romana, a period of relative peace lasting over 2 centuries. Roads connected continents. Cities flourished. Trade expanded from Britain to India. Augustus rebuilt Rome in stone, boasting he found it brick and left it marble. Yet peace came at a price. Political freedom was gone. Elections became meaningless. Dissent was dangerous. Rome had exchanged liberty for stability. Augustus ruled for over 40 years. When he died, power passed not to the Senate but to his chosen heir. Rome was no longer a republic. It was an empire, and its future would depend entirely on the men who sat on the imperial throne. How the greatest empire in history finally collapsed. Rome did not fall in a single night. It weakened slowly, almost invisibly, over centuries. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched from Britain to the Middle East, ruling over millions of people. But size itself became Rome's greatest enemy. As emperors came and went, instability grew. Some rulers were capable and disciplined. Others were cruel, paranoid, or incompetent. Many were assassinated by their own guards. Loyalty was no longer to Rome but to whoever paid the army. The empire faced constant pressure along its borders. Germanic tribes pushed into Roman territory not just as invaders but as refugees fleeing violence elsewhere. To defend itself, Rome relied increasingly on non-Roman soldiers. The army that once conquered the world was no longer fully Roman. Economic problems deepened the crisis. Endless wars drained the treasury. Taxes increased. Trade declined. Inflation spiraled as emperors reduced the silver content of coins. Ordinary citizens lost faith in the state. In the 4th century, Constantine the Great made decisions that changed history. He legalized Christianity, ending centuries of persecution, and founded a new eastern capital, Constantinople. Power shifted east, where the empire was richer and more stable. In 395 AD, the Roman Empire was permanently divided into eastern and western halves. The east survived. The west struggled. One by one, Roman provinces fell. In 410 AD, Rome itself was sacked by the Visigoths, an unthinkable shock. The city that once ruled the world was now vulnerable. In 476 AD, a Germanic general named Odoacer deposed the last Western Roman emperor, a boy named Romulus Augustulus. There was no dramatic battle, no final stand. The Western Roman Empire simply ended. Yet Rome did not truly die. Its laws shaped modern legal systems. Its republic inspired the founders of the United States. Roman roads, language, engineering, and political ideas still influence the world today. The Eastern Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, would survive for another 1,000 years. Rome fell as a state but lived on as a civilization. It remains one of the greatest, most astonishing experiments in human history,